blast. Teenage dreams and neon screens. It was all rad, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like whatever, together forever. We're never gonna sever, laughing and sharing our stories clever. We'll take you back, it's like whatever.
Welcome to Like Whatever, a podcast for, by, and about Gen X. I'm Nicole, and this is my BFFF, Heather.
Hey.
So, how was your week?
It was good.
Yeah.
It's hot.
Mine wasn't bad. It is. It's hot.
Yeah.
But my pool is clear.
Yeah.
And I can't wait.
Oh, I forgot to look.
Yeah.
It's probably cold, though.
I don't think so.
I think it probably is.
Maybe.
Have
I'm
you not
getting
been
in
in
it tomorrow night. My daughter and son-in-law are coming over, and it's going to get christened tomorrow night.
Oh, nice. Nice.
But it was hot today, and it's going to be like 90 tomorrow.
That's true.
So it should be warmed up by then.
That's true.
Yeah.
This is a big week in Gen X-ness.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Jaws.
Ah.
It's the anniversary of Jaws.
50 years.
50 years.
I heard on NPR this week that they are doing a big long weekend celebration up in Amity for it. And it sounded so cool.
Yeah.
But they're going to have, it's at Martha's Vineyard where they filmed it. And they're going to have special events and guest speakers and just activities for everybody, which, you know, they've got to be doing a showing of it in water.
I have no doubt. They do one in Dewey, and I want to go so fucking bad.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And that's in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, I thought about doing it out here in my pool, and that would be scary enough. But in the
There are
ocean,
sharks in your
oh
pool.
my God, seaweed would hit my leg, and I would just die. I do that anyway.
I know. I haven't been in the ocean in a very long time. Since I was a kid, probably.
Since my kids were kids, would have been for me. But yeah, I just go out there to cool off now. Like,
Yeah.
I step to get to like my knees and splash off.
Sandy. There's sand everywhere, and you get sand, and it's salty, and you get salt all over you.
And you get too tan at work as it
I
is.
know. Do you notice how tan I am
Yeah.
already?
It
It's
still
awful.
freaks me out.
It's
I'm never going to
awful.
get used to it.
I know. I hate it.
Your
but-
porcelain skin is ruined.
I know.
You should sue the post.
I should see the post. I went so long with my lovely porcelain skin. Oh, you know what else I got this week? I got new lotion to put on my tattoos. It's supposed to revitalize them.
Oh.
I just started using it yesterday, so you won't notice the difference. But
Well, and you've been wearing long sleeves up till now too, so I haven't
that's true.
really seen them in a while.
You know, when I put this shirt on, I'm sporting a new situation here.
Mesh. Short
and
sleeve.
I know, and crop top. There's crop top underneath.
I
So
noticed.
my tummy
And
is
your
out.
skulls.
Yes. Anyway, I forgot that I totally have the horrible 90s cliche tattoo.
You do the tribal.
The tribal sun I have.
Well, I have the Celtic tree of life.
Yes, you do.
And it's in the same spot.
Yes, yes. When you watch all those, like, well, I watch TikToks, you know, but all that stuff, and they're like, oh, what's the most 90s thing? And they're like, tribal. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I have. But you know how everybody always says, oh, you'll regret all your tattoos, blah, blah, blah. First of all, I don't even notice them anymore.
Me neither. I forget I have them.
I know, all the time. So I don't know who ever came up with that idea. It's obviously somebody without tattoos.
Yeah.
But also everybody's like, I don't know how you could just go get a tattoo without it meaning anything. Okay, well, that means I was alive in the 90s. And I'm sure I went with, you know, this whole sleeve here. This part is all like very good. I used to hang out in that tattoo shop. That's why I have so many, because they were like, hey, let me.
You lured me in there.
Yeah.
I got a couple done there.
Yeah, I love that place. She comes up. She just did. Oh, my Delaware tattoo was, I think, the last one she gave me when she was up here.
Okay.
Like maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. She comes back every now and then.
Yeah, tattoo shops have come a long way.
Yeah.
The first one I went to was a little shack
Yeah.
that was run by a neo-Nazi.
Nice.
I mean, he literally, the walls, it was a tiny, tiny place. And the walls and ceiling and floor and everything was decorated in Nazi swastikas. Like, but I was like 19, you know, I'm like, and it was the only place around here to get tattoos.
It was
there
hard to
wasn't
find,
anywhere else to go.
I went to a place called Dirty Larry's.
Yeah, I remember Dirty Larry. I think Dirty Larry worked at this place that I went to. But he, Little Gary, that was who did mine. And I can't remember if he did one of mine or if it was George or you had a crush on George. I had a crush on the other one with the long hair. What was his name?
I don't remember.
I don't either. But when he tattooed the top of my foot, as painful as it was, I'm just looking at him like, you're so cute.
George is in Ohio now.
Yeah.
I think he works for, I think Peggy told me he works for, I don't know that he tattoos anymore, but he works for, like, they sell ink maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think he works for a company that makes tattoo equipment.
Oh.
I think that's what she said.
That's
I could
a
be
good transition.
I could be totally wrong.
I'd imagine tattooing would be hard on your hands and your back and all that.
Yeah. She was on a podcast recently. Yeah. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
And get back to you because it was good. I listened to it. It's about female tattooers. 'Cause she's one of the first.
Yeah.
So
if we ever figure out how to do guests, maybe we can have her on and she can help us reminisce about that.
I don't even know if I want her to reminisce about me in the 90s. I was there a lot. I spent a lot of time in that tattoo shop. But I got a lot of nice tattoos for it. Very cheap. Yeah.
Yep.
Also, today is a sad day.
Yeah.
Brian Wilson. Just like Brian Wilson did. I was a big Beach Boys fan.
I was too.
Yeah.
I had their albums. And I could still sing every word to every song. I loved them.
Yeah.
It's funny because this is part of the weirdness about growing old. You're like, Brian Wilson is still alive. Not that I didn't know that he hadn't died, but he was an adult and we were kids.
Yeah.
And so now you're like, oh, well, we're not that much younger than him.
Yeah. I saw the Beach Boys a couple of times in Ocean City. They used to play 4th of July every year. So
That is so cool.
yeah.
I wonder what drew them to Ocean City on the 4th of July. Like of all the beaches.
I don't know. Because you'd think it'd be like the Keys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Florida Keys.
Yeah. There's a place called Kokomo. Why they don't go there, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. But the lady who used to cut my hair used to cut when the first time they came into Ocean City, she cut their hair. I guess it was like an emergency situation. I'm not really sure. But she cut their hair. So then every time they came back to Ocean City, they called her.
Wow.
Yeah, because she was awesome. Yeah. She was the best at doing hair. She was really expensive, so I couldn't really afford her, but
yeah,
she was amazing. And she loved me.
Because you would say, do whatever.
Yeah, do whatever. I don't give a shit. And
I remember that because she'd be like, are you sure? And you're like, whatever.
Whatever. I don't care. Shave it off for all I give a shit.
Exactly.
I think that was it though. I mean, there's a lot of other shit going on that we're just going to pretend like is not going on.
Yeah.
Because it's just.
Yeah. Just as far, I do want to say though, my heart's with LA.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just a horrible situation all the way around.
Yeah. And completely illegal, but
yeah.
Okay. We are allowed to protest in this country still.
As of right this minute,
As of right this minute.
Yes, we are.
Although, do you want to know what else I heard on NPR today that they want to take away? So I work...
Our right to vote? I mean...
yeah, that's coming. So I work with school-age kids, and there's this thing, if you haven't heard of it, called Makiti Vento, and that's if a kid is homeless, there's certain funding to help them to make sure that they have what they need, and the schools take it very seriously because kids are hard and they won't always tell you things, and sometimes I'll get a good rapport with kids and they'll let it slip that they've been in a shelter for 2 months with their mom, or they've been living in a hotel for a year, things like that. And I would always report it to staff to make sure that they were aware. And if they weren't aware, they would always jump right on it to make sure these kids were getting the services that they need and all that. They want to cut it.
Of course they do.
Yeah. It's devastating.
Because it's forced birthing and not pro-life.
Right.
So no one gives a fuck about a baby once it's actually here. They just want to worry about what you're fucking doing with your uterus. So let's not mix words. This whole episode, we should probably give you the the warning right out the gate. First of all, if you're an ignorant asshole, I don't even know what you're doing here to begin with.
Right.
I mean, we made it pretty clear. But so anyway, this whole episode's probably going to hurt your feelings a little bit. I already came up with the title. If you didn't read the title and you couldn't figure it out, that's on you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And this is a topic we are both very passionate about.
Very.
And we don't take these things lightly.
No.
Although Heather did say, I don't know how we're going to make jokes about this. And we can pretty much make a joke out of anything.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. But we won't offend. But before we jump into anything, real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts at Like Whatever Pod. We are on all the socials. Please follow us. I've been working on the socials, trying to post some Gen X type articles. I posted a good one today about why we really are awesome.
Yeah.
And how much we've contributed to society, even though we are considered forgotten. I mean, the internet. For one of many. Check us out. And if you would like to send us an email and tell us how offended you were by this episode, so that
damn it, you took my line.
We will put your name on blast on social media and let everybody know. So another warning to log out now if you're not cool with this. But anyway, it's going to be a great episode. Check us out. Like, rate, review. Please, please, please. That's it.
I did want to say one more thing too. Did you read the article about how apparently Gen X is the worst grandparents?
I saw that article, but I didn't read it.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because they don't babysit their grandchildren as much as, and the reason stated was because we have to take care of our aging parents.
I have been seeing things about that we are the sandwich generation, we call it.
And so, and I think a lot of I don't have kids, obviously, so I don't know how to speak to it. I think that part of the problem is, and it's not, you're different because I know how you raised your kids. But I think a lot of the helicoptering that happened as a result of the way we were raised.
Yes. And I have been reading about that as well, that we were very overprotective as a generation because nobody was paying any attention to us.
Yeah. So then I think what happened is when those kids grew up and had been helicoptered and now have to go out and have their own children and their own lives. And Gen X was like, well, we had to do it on our own. Fuck you. But they didn't actually prepare them for this.
No.
Because they helicoptered them.
Yes.
So I think, whether or not you're a horrible grandparent, I don't know, because I had horrible grandparents. So
I want to give a quick shout out to my daughter and my son-in-law. They are on an IVF journey.
Yes, they are.
And they got good news yesterday. Still not pregnant, but things are moving along. And
you are like my mom, who had just had children to have grandchildren.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. She married young, and I was like, do it. A year before she was getting married, she was like, we're going to go off birth control and try to get pregnant. I don't care if I'm pregnant when I get married. Okay.
she's
I'm down with that.
Been waiting.
And I don't have to worry about her expecting me to raise her kids. She is going to be like, I don't want to give it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's worked very hard for this, but yeah, I'm very excited for them. So everybody,
cross your fingers.
Yeah, cross your fingers. Send all your positive vibes,
thoughts and prayers if you are into that.
No, I'd rather not have the thoughts and prayers.
All right. Well, then I won't think of it.
Well, I do accept prayers from people, but very specific people.
Right.
They have to be people that mean it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know why I felt like I need to say that, but
here we go. this episode.
They're all like, "What is this episode about?"
I know,
They
right?
have done this big buildup.
I mean, you read the title. Like you can't figure it out. Like I don't know what to tell you. So we're gonna fuck around and find out about the gay rights.
Yay!
The gay rights. So I got my stuff from pbs.org, lgbtqhistory.org. There was like a million different websites that I pulled from. So mostly I'm just going to do like a timeline of what happened when and blah, blah, blah. And then we can just talk about that. But
Talk about all the gays we love.
yes, straight out the top, I want to say that I feel like mostly my life was probably saved in the 90s by the gay community.
I would agree with that.
Because they took me in. I mean, not like I had a very good parents.
They picked her up off of the side of the road.
My sad ass off the side of the road.
And they said, "Come with us."
I never felt like I fit in anywhere until I've said it before. So yeah. But let's just say that, and I want to start it with, a lot of people say, "Oh, this whole transgender gay business is just a part of is new." Many animals sometimes engage in same-sex sexual behaviors. These behaviors can include same-sex courtships, copulatory behavior, and long-term pair bonding between same-sex partners. Over 1,500 species of animals have shown some degree of same-sex sexual behavior, ranging from insects and spiders to frogs, fish, and birds, with over 50 species of non-human primates commonly showing these behaviors. Some examples of animals that practice same-sex couplings, including bears, gorillas, flamingos, owls, salmon, pigeons, lions, and many others. So just in case any of you didn't realize that this is not a uniquely human thing. This is not made up. It's not new.
And this reminds me that I just said today, humans are horrible species.
Yes.
But being gay and all the rest of them is not bad because
not
all
unnatural.
the animals do it.
Yes, it is not an unnatural
Other
thing.
animals don't murder for no reason. I don't think they
Except
rape.
dolphins.
Well, yeah, and what is it?
horrible.
Male hippopotamuses will kill baby hippopotamuses
Well,
too.
I think most animals will kill the babies of the rival.
Right.
But like dolphins will just fucking fuck you up for no reason.
Yeah.
And they rape
but they're close to
to people.
yeah, so that would make sense.
Yeah. As far as I lost my place. So spotted hyenas are born with female-like genitalia and raised as females until they reach sexual maturity. Then they go either way. Black-headed gulls have same-sex pair bonding and parenting. Japanese macaques have gender role reversals. Chickens have a male to female sex reversal due to genetic mutations. Sometimes they grow up as boys, sometimes they don't.
Yep.
Deer have hermaphroditic individuals and with both male and female reproductive organs. Lizards, especially the whiptail lizards, have the ability to change sex from male to female or vice versa. Bonobos have same-sex behavior and non-binary gender expression. Penguins have same-sex pair bonding and parenting.
Penguins are big time gays.
Yes.
There's a lot of gayness.
I mean, look
in the
how
penguin
fancy they
community.
are.
They are. They are. How can you walk around like that
I don't
and
know
not be
why
gay?
anybody
You're
was
fabulous,
didn't-
especially the
They
emperor
are
ones.
fucking fabulous. Elephants have same-sex sexual behavior and male-to-male bonding.
I don't think I knew that about elephants.
I learned a lot about elephants. I went down a
Like
rabbit
gay
hole.
elephant sex sounds really intense. Well, elephant sex of any kind sounds intense.
It does.
Yeah.
I try not to think about
There's
elephants.
a lot of body there.
There is a lot. Baboons have male to female sex reversal due to adrenal glands. Rats have same-sex sexual behavior and male-to-male bonding. Sheep have male to female sex reversal due to genetic mutations. Dolphins have same-sex sexual behavior and male-to-male bonding. I did know that about dolphins.
Yeah. They're hella gay too.
Yeah. Bearded dragons go male to female sex reversal due to environmental factors. They just, if it's too hot, they just switch.
Yeah, I mean, so what's the difference between surgery or
I don't
your body
just
changing?
automatically
Yeah.
doing it.
And yeah, or like being born one sex and thinking feeling like you're another. Like,
I don't know.
okay, I know I'm getting ahead of myself. This episode's going to make me very angry.
Yes, it is.
I know.
Cuttlefish have the ability to change gender and coloration for courtship displays. Blackfin gobies have the ability to change gender in response to population dynamics. Frogs have the ability to change sex in response to environmental factors. That's what happened in Jurassic Park, if you all remember, that they gave them only female DNA, but it was frog DNA, and then they changed sex, and then they had babies. Life finds a way. Marsh harrier, male to female sex reversal due to hormone imbalances. Sea snails can switch from male to female. Sea bass can switch gender. So obviously it's not
I think earthworms are also
hermaphroditic, yes.
But yeah, like can't they like impregnate themselves or
Yes,
something
they can.
crazy?
Yeah.
And seahorses, the men get pregnant.
The men carry the babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why.
It's so crazy of an idea.
I know. And
Or it's
just
made up.
Suddenly now everybody sit the fuck down.
Yeah, suddenly now. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Suddenly. So hold on. I want to stop for a second. Okay, there we go.
We're done.
That was that. So that's all the animals. Well, it's not all the animals, but I mean, that just goes to show you that it is not an unnatural
Yeah,
thing.
and that was a long list.
Yes.
And I'm sure of all the species in the world, there are a lot more.
Yeah. So next, I
think swans are super gay too.
maybe they're very fancy too.
They are.
So
Yeah,
it probably
makes sense.
yeah. We're going to go through some terms. It's important to note that there existed lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender individuals. Oh, we're moving back to people now. Individuals, communities, and relationships long before these terms became commonplace. Gay and lesbian relationships existed in ancient Rome and Greek communities and are shown in a variety of art from that time.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that because I was like, people think it's new because people finally feel somewhat safe
Yes.
to be themselves, as where before you'd be stoned and
Yes.
murdered if you were gay. But it really did. I mean, it was.
Yes.
They weren't hiding it back then.
They had bathhouses, and I mean,
Yes.
they didn't care.
No. Yeah. God, people are so dumb.
I know. So the term lesbian was first used by William King in his books in 1732. His book, The Toast, published in England, which meant women who loved women. Homosexual was first used in 1869 by Hungarian journalist Karl Maria Kurthany. Bisexual was
Hold on. I can't believe homosexual has only been around.
since 1869.
Yeah. Like, there's heterosexual. So
Well, did that not come about until homosexual yet?
Oh.
I don't know.
They just assumed everybody was straight back then.
I guess so.
And they didn't need a word for it.
No.
You're just a
You're
person.
just straight. Bisexual, 1894. In the pamphlet Psychopathia Sexualis was translated from German, and one of the first times term bisexual is used. In 1967, Sexual Freedom League formed in San Francisco in support of bisexual people.
And I remember like learning about bisexuality in like high school. I want to say I knew about that before I really understood being gay.
Right.
And I was so confused by it because I'm straight. I mean, and I've always been straight and I just didn't know.
know.
And it always confused me. Like, how can you like girls and boys? Like, it just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was my first real exposure. I think I knew of people that were bisexual, probably girls, because I think
it's
they were a little
yeah.
more comfortable to
Yeah.
discuss that before I really knew. Like, I had a boyfriend in high school that is gay as gay can be now.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, we used to make out and stuff. And now I feel bad for him. I'm like, oh, I was the one that he was trying to be straight for. Trying to prove to the world.
I am not the one.
I'm glad I could be there for him though.
And I can tell you, like, if being gay was a choice, I think that majority of women would choose to be gay just to not have to deal with men.
Although I keep hearing more and more, and maybe one day we'll get there. Women marry each other all the time now,
Yes.
platonically.
Yes. That's our plan.
Yes. So when the post office shuts down,
Yeah.
we'll have to get divorced from our husband so I can marry you and you can have benefits.
Yep. I love it.
Okay.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, everybody's always like, oh, especially people who are assholes that they've long turned this off now.
No.
So we can talk about them all we want. They're always like, oh, without men, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if y'all have this news flash of cloning, but you are absolutely not needed anymore. We keep you around because we want you around, but you are not needed anymore.
I mean, I don't know why, but
I don't either, but I mean, honestly.
I know it's funny. This reminds me of a conversation I had with my husband the other night because he was listening to some podcast and he's on a new podcast journey. So I've had to hear a lot. But he was like, I heard this thing today and it makes a lot of sense. They say by like 2060, there won't be any need to like, everybody will get artificially inseminated basically, because then you can know if it's healthy, what gender it is, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that makes sense. But having sex the natural, or having babies the natural way ain't going nowhere because people are still going to have kids. They're still going to have sex. They're still going to get pregnant. And that will still probably be something for people who can afford it. Maybe it'll be easier.
Designer babies.
More easily accessible. And he was like, yeah, I would love to do that. Or that's what I would have done if I would have had kids. And I was like, I don't think I would have wanted to do that. And he's like, really? And I'm like, no, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Obviously, it's hypothetical, but for him, his point was, and this makes a lot of sense, his mom had Huntington's disease, which is genetic, and you have a 50% chance of getting it if your parent has it. So definitely, like in that case, if you could ensure that you're not going to pass it on.
Right.
Because that's why my husband never had kids. Well, that and many other reasons, but...
He long ago stopped listening also. So.
Yeah, he doesn't listen ever. But he made the conscious decision to not have a family because he didn't want to be tested, which I was on board with. I wouldn't want to. There are plus and minuses to it.
Sure.
But I feel like finding out that you have something like that is the worst scenario as to where hoping you don't have it.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if you get that you don't have it, that's great, but you have a 50-50 shot. So I was always in support of that, and because of that, he chose not to reproduce. So.
There you have it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if men didn't exist, you could just clone.
I almost feel like the female body would figure out how to make babies without men anyway.
That's what I mean, because they can't carry babies, so
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just use women as an incubator in whatever state that is.
But don't take care of the baby when it comes.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
As long as we're straight.
Fuck them kids. The term gay, 1955, the term gay was used throughout Europe earlier, but this is the year most agree that gay came to mean same-sex relationships between men.
That's crazy that word's only that new, too. Yeah, I mean, I know it used to mean happy.
Yes.
Well, it still does mean happy, but it was an easy transition.
Speaking of transitions, transgender in 1965, John Olivan in his book Sexual Hygiene and Pathology used the term transgender to mean a person who identifies with a gender other than the one they were assigned at birth.
And I'm surprised that people were open about that back in 65, that they even
Sure
knew to
they
make
weren't.
a term for it. But how did they know there were people who felt like that?
Well, I think in 65, yeah, they probably knew that at that point.
That's true. We were coming up on sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were a little more
60s.
open-minded back then, yeah.
So brief. Well, it's not even that brief. So let's just go through the timeline. We're gonna go back way old school.
We're going to take it back.
Yeah. I know what you're all wondering. It's like, why do we need, but this is not Gen X, but it is because yeah. I feel like Gen X is probably one of the more openly accepting. If you feel like we broke the mold on that one.
I feel like that too. And I kind of feel like we continue to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what else to say about that, but I don't know if we were just the trailblazers on that, or maybe that does make us even more open-minded because we've been feeling some kind of way for a long time now about all this.
Maybe. December 1924, the Society for Human Rights is founded by Henry Gerber in Chicago. The society is the first gay rights organization as well as the oldest documented in America. After receiving a charter from the state of Illinois, the society published the first American publication for homosexuals, Friendship and Freedom. Soon after its founding, the society disbands due to political pressure. 1933 to 1945, nearly 100,000 German homosexual men were rounded up and placed in concentration camps along with Jewish people. They were designated by a pink triangle on their clothing.
How original.
You know.
The scarlet letter, the pink triangle.
The Germans. 1945, German homosexual men designated by the pink triangle on their clothing were the last group to be released from the Nazi concentration camps after liberation by the Allied forces, because paragraph 175 of the German criminal code stated that homosexual relations between males was illegal. In 1948, biologist and sex researcher Alfred Kinsey published Sexual Behavior in the Human Male. From his research, Kinsey concludes that homosexual behavior is not restricted to people who identify themselves as homosexual, and that 37% of men have enjoyed homosexual activities at least once. While psychologists and psychiatrists in the 40s considered homosexuality a form of illness, the findings surprised many conservative notions about sexuality.
When was Freud? Because he was pretty into the gay.
I don't know much about Freud.
50s?
Maybe.
40s?
40s, 50s, somewhere in there. I don't know much about Freud.
Because I wonder if he opened some of this up. Because he was, well, he was all about sex.
Yes.
And I think homosexuality was a big part. I don't know. I might be talking on my ass. I don't know.
I don't know much about Freud. November 1950, in Los Angeles, gay rights activist Harry Hay founds America's first sustained national gay rights organization. In an attempt to change public perception of homosexuality, the Mattachine Society aims to eliminate discrimination, derision, prejudice, and bigotry, to assimilate homosexuals into Main Street society, and to cultivate the notion of an ethical homosexual culture. In December of 1950, a Senate report titled Employment of Homosexuals and Other Sex Perverts in Government is distributed to members of Congress.
I wish you could have seen the look on her face when she said that. Like her eye twitched and everything.
It's distributed to members of Congress after the federal government had covertly investigated employees' sexual orientation at the beginning of the Cold War. The report states, since homosexuality is a mental illness, homosexuals constitute security risks to the nation because those who engage in overt acts of perversion lack the emotional stability of normal persons. So just to go back over that, it's homosexuals that constitute security risks to the nation because they engage in overt acts of perversion, lack the emotional stability of a normal person, as opposed to getting on a plane and going to Epstein Island.
I was going to say, as opposed to pedophiles.
And walking through your own personal beauty pageant filled with teenage girls getting half dressed because you can.
Yeah.
And then you get to become president of the United States.
Crazy.
Over the previous years, more than 4,300 gay men and women have been discharged from the military. This is the 50s still. And around 500 fired from their jobs within the government. The purging will become known as the Lavender Scare. In 1952, Christine Jorgensen becomes one of the most famous transgender people when she underwent a sex change operation and went on to a successful career in show business.
In the 50s, she had a sex change operation?
She
wow. I didn't know that was a thing back then.
In April of 1952, the American Psychiatric Association listed homosexuality as a sociopathic personality disturbance.
I love that nobody wants to address mental health until it's the gays. And then it's something we need to deal with.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a sociopathic personality disturbance in its first publication of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Immediately following the manual's release, many professionals in medicine, mental health, and social science criticized the categorization due to the lack of empirical and scientific data.
Shocker.
I know. It's crazy. In 1953, President Dwight Eisenhower signs Executive Order 10450 banning homosexuals from working for the federal government or any of its private contractors. The order
Now I hate Eisenhower.
order lists homosexuals as a security risk along with alcoholics and neurotics. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to let that lay there for a minute. In 1955... in San Francisco, the Daughters of Bilitis becomes the first lesbian rights organization in the United States. The organization hosts social functions providing alternatives to lesbian bars and clubs, which are frequently raided by police.
I will say lesbian bar is my first gay experience. Because in Rehoboth, the lesbian bars, well...
It's gone now.
Yeah, but I think the gay bars were the male gay bars were too intimidating for me.
But they were pretty intense.
Yeah, and they were also like bars. So when I was like 16, 17, lesbian places were more like restaurants.
Yes.
I felt like, so I could be more comfortable, not more comfortable. I could actually be there because I wasn't 21.
In 1956, American psychologist Evelyn Hooker shares her paper, The Adjustment of the Male Overt Homosexual, at the American Psychological Association Convention in Chicago. After administering psychological tests such as the Rorschach to groups of homosexual and heterosexual males, Hooker's research concludes homosexuality is not a clinical entity and that heterosexuals and homosexuals do not differ significantly. Hooker's experiment becomes very influential, changing clinical perceptions of homosexuality. January of 1958, the landmark case 1 Inc. versus Olison, the United States Supreme Court rules in favor of the First Amendment right of the lesbians, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT magazine, One, the homosexual magazine. The suit was filed after the U.S. Postal Service and FBI declared the magazine obscene material, and it marks the first time the United States Supreme Court rules in favor of homosexuals. The gays. Goddamn post office. January of 1962, Illinois repeals its sodomy laws, becoming the first U.S. state to decriminalize homosexuality. Go on with yourself, Illinois. 1965, and July 4th, 1965, at Independence Hall in Philadelphia, picketeers began staging the first Reminder Day to call public attention to the lack of civil rights for LGBT people. The gathering will continue annually for 5 years. In April of 1966, members of the Mattachine Society staged a sip-in at the Julius Bar in Greenwich Village, where the New York Liquor Authority prohibits serving gay patrons in bars on the basis that homosexuals are disorderly.
Well, I mean, that it can be true. But I'm surprised New York was so far behind.
Yeah.
Like, I would think they would have been more open.
Yeah.
I guess that was for California.
Yeah.
All those hippies out in California.
Yeah.
Gay hippies.
Society President Dick Litch and other members announced her homosexuality and immediately refused service. Following the sip-in, the Mattachine Society will sue the New York Liquor Authority. Although no laws are overturned, the New York City Commission on Human Rights declares that homosexuals have the right to be served. Fuck me, right?
I just love that they had a sip-in.
Yeah, me too. It's lovely.
That sounds adorable. I want to go to a sip-in.
Me too. I don't even drink. Oh, I just spilled water on myself.
That's why
August
you don't drink.
August 1966, after transgender customers become raucous at a 24-hour San Francisco cafeteria, management calls police. While a police officer manhandles one of the patrons, she throws coffee in his face and a riot ensues, eventually spilling out into the street, destroying police and public property. Following the riot, activists established the National Transsexual Counseling Unit, the first peer-run support and advocacy organization in the world.
Really?
Yes, that's what
for
that said.
Trans or for
Trans.
anyone?
I don't know.
Okay.
I
That's
assume trans.
super impressive. Though.
Yeah.
I love peer and advocacy. I think those are the strongest tools.
Yes, agreed. June 28th, 1969, patrons of the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village riot when police officers attempt to raid the popular gay bar around 1 a.m. Since its establishment in 1967, the bar has been frequently raided by police officers trying to clean up the neighborhood of sexual deviants. Angry gay youth clash with aggressive police officers in the streets, leading to a 3-day riot during which thousands of protesters receive only minimal local news coverage. Nonetheless, the event will be credited with the reigniting the fire behind America's modern LGBT rights movement. Also in 1969, the Gay Liberation Front organization formed in New York following the Stonewall riots to advocate for sexual liberation for all people. Also, the Gay Activist Alliance, formed in New York by a group who were not satisfied with the direction of the Gay Liberation Front. Their purpose was more political, and they wanted to secure basic human rights, dignity, and freedom for all gay people. June 28, 1970, Christopher Street Liberation Day commemorates the 1-year anniversary of the Stonewall riots. Following the event, thousands of members of the LGBT community march all through New York into Central Park in what will be considered America's first gay pride parade.
Aww.
In the coming decades, the annual gay pride parade will spread to dozens of countries around the world. In 1971, the Body Politic magazine began publishing in Toronto, Canada, becoming one of the most widely read publications regarding LGBT rights. In 1972, the play Coming Out, written by Jonathan Ned Katz, is performed for the first time in New York and provides a historical perspective of gay life from the colonial period to the present.
Wow.
In December 1973, the Board of American Psychiatric Association votes to remove homosexuality from its list of mental illness.
That's crazy. It took that long.
Yes. January of 74, Kathy Kazachenko becomes the first openly gay American elected to public office when she wins a seat on the Ann Arbor, Michigan City Council.
Yay.
1974, also, Elaine Noble becomes the first openly gay person to be elected as a state legislator. She served in the Massachusetts State House of Representatives for 2 terms. 1975, the Bisexual Forum, founded in New York City, and the Gay American Indians Organization, founded in San Francisco. June 1977, singer and conservative Southern Baptist Anita Bryant leads a successful campaign with the Save Our Children crusade to repeal a gay rights ordinance in Dade County, Florida. Bryant faced severe backlash from gay rights supporters across the U.S. The gay rights ordinance will not be reinstated in Dade County until December of 1998, more than 20 years later. Yeah. That's Florida for you. Which is so fucking weird because I don't know if they know this, but Florida has a lot of gay people.
A lot.
Yeah. November 8th, 1977, Harvey Milk wins a seat on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and is responsible for introducing a gay rights ordinance protecting gays and lesbians from being fired from their jobs. Milk also leads a successful campaign against Proposition 6, an initiative forbidding homosexual teachers. A year later, November 27th, 1978, former city supervisor Dan White assassinates Milk. While White's actions are motivated by jealousy and depression rather than homophobia. And let me just say one more thing about that. I think that right now, the fact that they are removing Harvey Milk's name off of that Navy vessel is just despicable.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I don't know.
Yeah. So,
I hate everybody.
Yeah. Fuck.
Fuck y'all.
1978, the Briggs Initiative, a statewide proposition in California, was defeated by 58% of the voters. The initiative would have banned gays and lesbians from working in California's public schools. Also in 1978 in San Francisco, the rainbow flag is first flown during the Gay Freedom Parade. The flag becomes a symbol of gay and lesbian pride. Yes. May 21st, 1979, Dan White is convicted of voluntary manslaughter and is sentenced to 7 years in prison. Outraged by what they believe to be a lenient sentence, more than 5,000 protesters ransacked San Francisco City Hall, doing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of property damage in the surrounding area. The following night, approximately 10,000 people gather on San Francisco's Castro Market streets for a peaceful demonstration to commemorate what would have been Milk's 49th birthday.
Wow.
I mean, 7 fucking years. Come on. I mean... October 1979, an estimated 75,000 people participate in the National March on Washington for lesbian and gay rights. LGBT people and straight allies demand equal civil rights and urge for the passage of protective civil rights legislation. 1979, chapters of the National Organization of Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, or PFLAG, are founded across the United States. July of 1980, the Democratic Rules Committee states that it will not discriminate against homosexuals at their national convention. On August 11th through the 14th, the Democrats become the first major political party to endorse a homosexual rights platform.
Damn snowflakes.
July 3rd, 1981, the New York Times prints the first story of a rare pneumonia and skin cancer found in 41 gay men in New York and California. The CDC initially refers to the disease as GRID, gay-related immune deficiency disorder. When the symptoms are found outside the gay community, Bruce Voller, biologist and founder of the National Gay Task Force, successfully lobbies to change the name to the disease AIDS. March 2nd, 1982, Wisconsin becomes the first U.S. state to outlaw discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. In 1985, Rock Hudson dies. He was leading actor in many movies in the 50s and 60s. He died of complications related to AIDS. After his death...
Spoiler alert, he was gay.
After his death, it was revealed that he was gay and had several male relationships. In 1985, the AIDS quilt concept was conceived and implemented by Cleve Jones, an LGBT activist in San Francisco. I feel like, AIDS is way too complicated of a thing for us to do. So maybe sometime.
Yeah, it would definitely be its own episode.
Yeah, a
to
million
go through that
episodes.
Yeah.
Because March 10th, 1987, AIDS advocacy group ACT UP, the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power, is formed in response to the devastating effects the disease has had on the gay and lesbian communities in New York. The group holds demonstrations against pharmaceutical companies profiteering from AIDS-related drugs, as well as the lack of AIDS policies protecting patients from outrageous prescription prices. Get out of here.
And if you want to, have you watched Pose?
No, not yet.
It's so good.
It's on my list.
Yeah, it covers a lot of what it was like in real life, having AIDS, losing friends to AIDS, losing lovers to AIDS. Like,
I can't even imagine.
It's such a good show. I'm thinking about going back and watching it. It's been a couple years.
I know that a lot of us were coming of age in the 80s.
Yes.
When this was and
didn't AIDS come from monkeys or something back then?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have to Google.
A gay man got bit by a monkey somewhere and spread it to all the gays.
I don't know. That's hard to say. Maybe he ate a bat. I don't know.
Oh, was it gay bats? I thought it was gay monkeys.
I feel like all bats are probably gay.
Probably.
Bats are very gay. Like, vampires. I mean, vampires are pretty gay.
Yeah. Bats are fancy.
Yeah.
I mean, who sleeps upside down? Come on.
Vampires.
Gay bats.
Gay bats. October 11th, 1987, hundreds of thousands of activists take part in the National March on Washington to demand that President Ronald Reagan address the AIDS crisis. Although AIDS has been reported first in 1981, it is not until the end of his presidency that Reagan speaks publicly about the epidemic. May to June 1988, the CDC mails a brochure, Understanding AIDS, to every household in the U.S. Approximately 107 million brochures are mailed. December 1988, the World Health Organization organizes the first World AIDS Day to raise awareness of the spreading pandemic. Mm-hmm. So here is also so that's 1988, and now we're moving into the 90s, which we all were at that point of age, coming of age, etc. And I do remember it was scary.
Yeah.
And we're not gay.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's just one of those things where people these days AIDS is not even a big thing anymore. Nobody even gives a shit about AIDS.
Yeah, if you catch HIV, you live. Yeah, I think it's until you get full blown AIDS. So if you ignore the symptoms, you can end up sick. Yeah. But yeah, I remember being terrified of it, even though I wasn't gay. Because back then, they would make it sound like if you shook hands with somebody, you could get AIDS.
Yeah,
but it was a minority that was having this issue. So nobody really gave a fuck.
Until they had to.
Right. Until it started spreading to I would say to the straight people, but it was probably brought on by all the closeted men that were out having gay sex and then bringing it home to their families.
Mm-hmm. I think that was part. And then I think Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I feel like that was probably the turning point.
That blew my mind.
In the American eyes,
Yeah.
And then it was he
was an idol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wasn't gay.
Right. Yep.
August 18th, 1990, President George Bush Sr. signs the Ryan White Care Act as a federally funded program for people living with AIDS. Ryan White, an Indiana teenager, contracted AIDS in 1984 through a tainted hemophilia treatment. After being barred from attending school because of his HIV positive status, Ryan White becomes a well-known activist for AIDS research and anti-discrimination. I was going to say, and Ryan White also. Mm-hmm. And then Princess Diana. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was one of her things, and her going on TV and...
She used to make me nervous because she was in the heart of it. She was going into third world countries.
And hospitals and...
Yeah. And I was no, Princess Diana. Because at that point, my young mind still thinks...
You can get it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. In 1991, created by the New York-based Visual AIDS, the red ribbon is adopted as a symbol of awareness and compassion for those living with HIV/AIDS. December 21st, 1993, the Department of Defense issues a directive prohibiting the U.S. military from barring applicants from service based on their sexual orientation. Applicants shall not be asked or required to reveal whether they are homosexual.
What is it? Don't ask, don't tell.
States the new policy which forbids applicants. That
was under Bush Jr., right?
Yes.
I think.
No. Senior.
This is still senior? Mm-hmm. Okay.
93.
Oh,
No, it's Clinton. Clinton.
Okay.
Clinton. States a new policy which still forbids applicants from engaging in homosexual acts or making a statement that he or she is homosexual. The policy is known as Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I do think that it gets a lot of shit. And I know that both Hillary and Bill got a lot of shit because it wasn't.
But you have to start somewhere.
I think that's.
You can't just be no, let all the gays in. I mean, they would all got murdered.
I agree. I think they were trying.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem. I agree. It's stupid that gay people don't have rights. This dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Absolutely.
Ever. However,
although women didn't have rights either. So.
And again, that's the stupidest fucking thing. Right. But again, it has to. Here comes my soapbox.
Woohoo! I knew it was coming.
And I did too. The whole time I was writing this, I was like, fuck, I'm going to get on a soapbox. I just know it. Here's the
Surprised
thing.
it took you this
I know.
long.
It took me 55 minutes in. So here's the thing about it all. This last election.
We're going there.
Yep.
Oh God.
I think it is incredibly fucking stupid that people don't think a woman can run the country. It's dumb. Obviously, men can't do it because it's really not been working out for the last 200 and some years, 300
And how
years.
many female leaders are there around the world?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
We're
to think.
such an advanced country. We are so far behind in so many ways.
However, this country still holds this stupid thing. So you have to take it one step at a time. Otherwise, if you jump in with, I don't know, a black female going against a fucking idiot.
Who likes to laugh?
Yeah.
And apparently that was very unappealing.
This is what happens. It was too much. It was too diverse. And this obviously isn't, we're obviously too fucking stupid to be able to put things aside.
Can you imagine what the world would be like right now if she would have won?
I think it was shown when people chose to vote for a black man over a white woman.
Yes.
Granted, it was Hillary and nobody likes Hillary.
Right.
But I think that told you everything you needed to know.
Well, and looking at Trump's presidency, he ran against a man, he lost. Well, he ran against a woman, he won. He ran against a man, he lost. He ran against a woman.
This just shows you that fucking people are fucking stupid. So I honestly didn't. I did vote for Kamala. I did think that she was the better of the two candidates. I do think that they should not have run her. I think it was.
I agree,
too much
but I
at
do
stake.
think she would have done. It was too much at stake. It was poor planning, but I don't think they necessarily had a strong enough male candidate to do it.
I think they should have run Buttigieg.
But again, he's gay, so would he have
that was
won?
the diversity that you wanted. He was also a veteran.
Yeah, but
Anyway,
people are gonna gravitate towards the thing they hate. So, but I think she would have done a great job. I really do.
oh, I agree with you,
I think
100%. I
she
just
would've-
think that this country is too fucking stupid, and they're just
And too
it was
racist.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to say. They voted for this fucking backwards, racist, fucking stupid ass country. Voted for a black man over a white woman, and that just goes to show you how they're just not ready for a woman. Whatever. It's fucking stupid. I should be in charge.
You've always wanted to be
I know.
the-
Always wanted to be presidentress of the world.
of the world.
Yes.
She has been saying that as long as I've
Man,
known
I would
her.
make the greatest presidentress of the world there is.
She really would.
Let me just one platform and then we'll move back on.
Okay.
But I think if you beat your wife, girlfriend, whatever, if you beat your significant, your wife, and she didn't deserve it. Sometimes I want to beat my wife, but I don't. I think that on Friday nights, it should be televised that you have to go in the ring with a female boxer on TV and have the shit kicked out of you by Layla Ali. You know?
I also feel that if you play professional sports making millions of dollars a year and you can't keep your hands off of your wife or girlfriend, that you should not have that privilege.
Nope.
It is a very small percentage of people that make it there, and there is a guy who will gladly take your place.
Yep.
I don't think that you should be allowed to play professional sports if you're abusive.
No.
And I feel for some of these kids. I know they've come up in rough areas, but that does not give you the right to put your hands on anyone.
somebody else.
Yes.
Nope. Keep your hands to yourself, people.
Yeah, for real. I had a boyfriend in high school that would punch himself in the head when he got upset. So yeah, do that.
Do that. That's my
I mean, not that we broke up, obviously.
Anyway, moving on. That's soap opera. We got to keep moving here. 1994, Greg Louganis, 4-time Olympic gold medalist and considered one of the greatest divers in history, publicly came out as gay as part of the Gay Games in New York City. He subsequently wrote a book entitled Breaking the Surface that was published in 1996. In it, he revealed his Olympic experience coming out journey, and he was diagnosed with AIDS in 1988. And if you recall, he also hit his head on the diving board and bled in the pool.
Yes.
And that was like...
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
All the Olympians have AIDS.
Yeah. May 20th, 1996, in the case of Romer versus Evans, the United States Supreme Court decides that Colorado's Second Amendment denying gays and lesbians protection against discrimination is unconstitutional, calling them special rights. September 21st, 1996, President Clinton signs the Defense of Marriage Act into law. The law defines marriage as a legal union between one man and one woman, and that no state is required to recognize a same-sex marriage from out of state. Yes, President Clinton did not do a good job there. 1997, Ellen DeGeneres, a comedian, TV actor, and television host, was one of the first popular entertainers who publicly came out as lesbian during an interview on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and then became the first openly gay character on the TV show Ellen. She was then highlighted on the cover of Time magazine and other news organizations. Mm-hmm. And she's not a good person.
She's not. It's sad.
Yeah. 1998, Matthew Shepard, this is sad too. Speaking of sad, 1998, Matthew Shepard, a 21-year-old student at the University of Wyoming.
This poor kid's face is burned in my brain for the rest of my life.
Was brutally attacked and tied to a fence in a field outside of Laramie, Wyoming, and left to die because he was gay. He died from his wounds several days later. This was one of the most notorious anti-gay hate crimes in America and resulted in a federal law passed 10 years later in 2009 called the Hate Crimes Prevention Act, a federal law against bias crimes directed at lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender people. So if you're younger, which I don't know how many younger people we have listening, and you're like, why is it like everybody, why is this parade? It's so stupid, blah, blah, blah. Because people got killed.
Yeah.
Because they were gay. That's why.
Yeah.
April 1st, 1998, Coretta Scott King, widow of civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., calls on the civil rights community to join the struggle against homophobia. She receives criticism from members of the Black civil rights movement for comparing civil rights to gay rights. I mean, I feel like Coretta Scott King...
all human rights.
Yeah.
It's not you or me or whatever. It's everybody has the right to be who they are.
Coretta Scott King comes out, like, come on,
right,
and says it, then you should just... April 26, 2000, Vermont becomes the first state in the U.S. to legalize civil unions and registered partnerships between same-sex couples. June 26, 2003, the Lawrence versus Texas, the U.S. Supreme Court rules that sodomy laws in the U.S. are unconstitutional. May 18th, 2004, Massachusetts becomes the first state to legalize gay marriage. The court finds the prohibition of gay marriage unconstitutional because it denies dignity and equality of all individuals. In the following 6 years, New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, and Iowa and Washington, D.C. will follow suit.
I've always thought, though, about all those poor gay people that didn't want to get married, and they always had that excuse, like, well, we can't
get married now.
And then they legalize it, and their significant other's like, God. They're like, no.
God damn it. Some of us don't want to get married.
Yeah.
Or some of us did. Whatever. August 9th, 2007, sponsored by the Human Rights Campaign, the Logo Cable Channel hosts the first American presidential forum focusing specifically on LGBT issues, inviting each presidential candidate. 6 Democrats participate in the forum, including Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, while all Republican candidates declined.
Shocker.
I fucking love the Logo Channel. I loved it. That's where RuPaul's Drag Race first started. That is where what was the name of that show? No, that was HBO. I think Queer Spoke I think was on like HBO or Showtime, and then the L Word was on Showtime, I think. Mm-hmm. I've watched all of them. I loved all of them. But like just real quick, I have to say that RuPaul, I don't think I could love a person anymore than I love RuPaul. And I consistently say her phrases over and over and over again. How in the hell are you going to love somebody else if you don't love yourself?
Yes.
Other people's opinions of you are none of your business. Mm-hmm. That one I live by, because other people's opinions of you are not your business. Just don't worry about it. unless they pay your bills, fuck them.
Yeah.
So that was the Logan Child. November 4th, 2008, California voters approved Proposition 8, making same-sex marriage in California illegal. I remember that. Passing of the ballot garners national attention from gay rights supporters across the U.S. Prop 8 inspires the No Hate campaign, a photo project that uses celebrities to promote marriage equality. I remember that campaign very well.
Mm-hmm.
June 17th, 2009, President Obama signs a presidential memorandum allowing same-sex partners of federal employees to receive certain benefits.
Ugh.
The memorandum does not cover full health coverage. I do remember, I'm pretty sure Disney was one of the first companies to cover same-sex couples.
Good.
Medical.
Good for them.
Yeah. I mean, that's their whole fucking gas. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
They had to.
Nobody would have benefits
No.
at Disney.
October 28th, 2009, the Matthew Shepard Act is passed by Congress and signed into law by President Obama. The measure expands the 1969 U.S. federal hate crime law to include crimes motivated by a victim's actual or perceived gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, or disability. Matthew Shepard was tortured. Oh, we already went through that.
Mm-hmm.
August 4th, 2010, a federal judge in San Francisco decides that gays and lesbians have the constitutional right to marry and that Prop 8 is unconstitutional.
Mm-hmm.
December 18th, 2010, the U.S. Senate votes 65-31 to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, allowing gays and lesbians to serve openly in the U.S. military. February 23rd, 2011, President Obama states his administration will no longer defend the Defense of Marriage Act, which bans the recognition of same-sex marriage. June 24th, 2011, New York State passes the Marriage Equality Act, becoming the largest state thus far to legalize gay marriage. June 26th, 2015, with a 5-4 decision in Obergefell versus Hodges, the U.S. Supreme Court declares same-sex marriage legal in all 50 states.
Just only 10 years ago.
Yes.
And by a vote of 5-4.
Yes.
Barely passed. It could still be illegal right now.
Yes. So that was where my timeline stopped. I decided, let's just end with the declaring same-sex marriage legal in all 50
On a
states.
high note.
Yes.
But I want to say, besides we talked about the Romans and the Greeks and all that being openly gay, but there is very good evidence that Abraham Lincoln was gay.
Yes.
He had a wife, but she said he didn't even stay at home with her. Like, he stayed at his boyfriend's house
Yes.
all the time.
He had it, yes.
And Ben Franklin would fuck anything that moved. So, and these are our founding fathers and presidents. And like, it's always been there. Like, and I just can't.
Yep.
I don't even know what to say about it. Like, I just don't understand. And the thing that always comes back to me, and it's so basic, but how does this affect your life?
That is my number one thing. Why do you fucking care? If you don't
Exactly.
like gay marriage, don't go getting gay married.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite memes. If you're against gay marriage, say no if a gay man or a gay person asks you to marry them.
Don't get gay married.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't understand how it affects you even slightly. It
Yeah.
doesn't.
And you all know that the more homophobic you act, the more we all know that you have some tendencies that you are trying to cover up.
It's just the most fucking ridiculous thing ever. Like, just
Like, if you don't like gays, you're probably not going to be around gays. You're probably going to not have them in your family, like, openly with you if they know how you feel. You're probably in a job where you're with tough guys, people like that. Your circle of friends certainly probably doesn't have a gay person in it. So what do you care?
I just,
Like, it literally has no effect on your
none
life.
whatsoever, even slightly. And all these Bible thumpers that are like, oh, they're going to hell. Why do you care who goes to hell?
And Jesus never said you couldn't be gay.
No. And you want to, don't go to hell then. If you're so worried about hell, then keep yourself from going to hell. Don't worry about where I'm going.
Yeah. And I mean, hopefully you are going to heaven, because I want to be in hell with all the fun people.
Exactly.
If that's where all the
exactly what I'm trying to
gays
say.
and the...
All the fun stuff happens in hell.
Yeah.
It's just, heaven sounds like a horrible place if you can't be gay and you can't gamble and you can't drink and you can't smoke and you can't. It just sounds like a horrible place.
So you sit on a cloud with big wings that you have to
Yeah,
carry
playing
around
a
all the
harp.
time. No thanks.
I hate harp music.
And it's got to be so fucking crowded up there. Do you know how many people have died
I know.
in the past 2,000 years?
I know.
Because I don't know if there was a heaven before 2,000 years ago.
I don't think there was. And I don't get it. I did want to mention two. There's a million different organizations, but the Trevor Project and the It Gets Better Project, both you should check those both out. They both are for young gay people.
The funny thing is, today or yesterday, I was thinking about today's episode, and I really liked that you did the mental health
Yes.
resources in that one show. And I didn't even know what today's topic was because she doesn't bother to tell me because I don't pay any attention.
No.
And I like being surprised too. But I was thinking you should put up some resources for this show, but then you told me the topic and I was like, oh, I'm sure she... Yeah. I'm going to guess there's no fun facts about gay...
That's where you're wrong. I don't know how fun they are, but I do have some facts.
Okay.
The singular they, them used to be the most popular pronoun in the English language, happily used by Jane Austen and William Shakespeare up until the 19th century. It was around then that the pronoun splintered into the he, him, she, her division we know today, as people wanted English to be more neatly symmetrical like Latin.
Did not know that.
But this made English into a bit of an outlier. 254 of the 378 languages tracked by the World Atlas of Language Structures online don't specify gender at all with their pronouns.
Okay.
So, forms of same-sex marriage have existed as far back as the 3rd and 10th centuries, according to ancient church liturgical documents that describe
The hell you say?
describe the office of same-sex unions and even an order for uniting two men. One variation of this union was called, I'm not even going to try,
Okay.
that saw Saint Sergius, a Roman army commander, unite with Saint Bacchus, his deputy. The Catholic Church later stripped them of sainthood in 1969 and no longer practice the rite. This ceremony often includes all things typical of weddings, gathered in a church, a couple blessed at the altar, and even a banquet after. Then there is and I'm going to really just fuck this up, but the Kanjasjemi Hieroglyphics are ancient rock carvings thought to have been created between 3,000 and 4,000 years ago. They're the earliest known example of porn researchers have found. Between the shapely female carvings and the large penis-wielding male carvings are what researchers found as a third group wearing feminine headdresses and had erect phalluses, leading researchers to consider the carvings were graphic, to say the least. In some illustrations, men embrace other men and others dance around gender nonconforming figures. In another, a male is seen embracing another male while a third masturbates alone. Other men with erections appear to be dancing with a gender nonconforming figure.
I would imagine that 4,000 years ago, they weren't hiding it.
Nope.
And probably nobody cared.
I mean, they wrote porn about it.
Yeah.
The word drag actually originated centuries ago from the old British dialect phrase, dressed resembling a gallant, referring to men dressed flamboyantly. A very glamorous history. Up until the late 1400s, the word girl only had meaning for a child of either sex. Male children were referred to as knave girls, whereas females were known as gay girls.
That's when they were happy.
Yeah. And in 1962, American rock guitarist, singer, and songwriter Jimi Hendrix pretended to be gay in order to get out of the army.
Smart.
Yep.
I like it.
So that's gay. That's gay.
That's gay.
That's all the gay. That's all the gay I have for today. Today's gay.
That was fascinating.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that needed to be told. I think it's important to remember the history of
Yes.
how we've gotten where we are. And while it feels like sometimes it feels like we're still so far to go, and we are.
Yes.
But when you listen to what you went through, what you talked through, we have made strides.
Yes.
And we're never going to end bigotry,
No.
racism,
No.
hate.
No.
So unfortunately, they're not always, they're not, I don't want to be so negative, but I mean, Black people will probably be like, oh, duh. Where they're never going to be fully accepted.
Indigenous people.
Yeah, pretty much. Anybody that's not white.
Exactly. And that's fucked up. Because
straight.
it makes the world a better place if we're not all the same.
It's so fun. Like, can you imagine if every single person thought the same thing, did the same thing? Like,
I cannot imagine a life without gay people.
right?
Because where we live, for those of you that are not from here or don't know about here, we have a very large gay population.
Yes.
In Delaware. I know. Sounds weird, but it's true. It's the town of Rehoboth and Lewis has a very, very, very large gay
And
population.
have for a long time.
Yes.
When we were going there in the 80s, this is what I was talking about back then when we were like 15, 16, 17 years old. There were huge gay bars down there. I mean, from the highway, you could see the fluorescent lights and hear the music.
We went, the under 21 club that we went to was over top of a drag bar. Mm-hmm. That's how we saw drag shows all the time. And
I was going to say we went there on the drag nights, but it was so cool too that they were so accepting of us.
Yeah.
They sacrificed a night so that we kids would have somewhere to
us
go.
little goth kids had somewhere to, that's what I'm trying to say about, like, they just, that, and you know, there was this huge leather bar out by the highway. That building's gone and everything. And
was that the Renegade?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they used to have the Miss America pageants.
That's
all the
the
time.
one I was talking about with the lights and the, like,
Yeah.
you saw that place.
Yeah, that was, and you know,
And then there's the Blue Moon, who is still there,
the
which
Purple
is
Parrot.
yeah, which is my favorite.
The Frog Pond is gone though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my first gay bar
Yeah, that was
that
the
I
last
hung
gay
out
bar.
in. Yeah,
I don't know. I think I'm a big fan of drag. Always have been, always will be. Again, like I said, RuPaul's one of my favorite people. But like, I don't even know what she's like in life outside. I don't know. She could be the worst person on the planet. I don't even give a shit because I just love her. Her and Michelle Visage. I
know.
I have always wanted.
One of the best times I ever had. My brother-in-law is gay, and well, you were with me.
Yes.
See, that's how drunk I was. I didn't even remember
Yes.
this much later that she was there. Yeah. So I had just met my husband. We weren't married yet. And I finally had a spouse or a significant other that approved of me doing things.
That's a whole nother show.
Oh, yeah. So Heather and I got to take our first real trip together. And I say got to because
It's a whole nother story.
yes. Okay. So anyway, we go out there and he's like, well, we had the plan to go to Sedona already. And then his brother lives in Phoenix.
Yes.
So we spent a couple days in Sedona, which was lovely.
Yes.
And then we went to Phoenix and my brother-in-law tried to kill me.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And, but we went out for some really yummy Mexican, which if you want some real good Mexican, go to Phoenix, Arizona. Because, wow. Heather didn't like it so much, but
Heather's picky.
she likes very American.
I like my Taco
Mexican.
Bell Mexican.
Yes. And her nachos.
I had nachos last night, as a matter of fact.
Yummy. So, anyway, we go for Mexican and then he takes us to a drag bar. And it's funny because my niece posted or sent a picture in the group chat the other day. She and her friends were out at the drag bar and it's the place that he took us to.
Really?
Yeah. And he was like, oh my God, I went there every Friday for 20 years. So we get there and I used to not turn down a shot. And the drag queens picked up on that.
Yes,
and
they did.
Brought me up on stage and
Yes, they did.
served me a lot of shots.
Yep.
And yeah, but it
And
was,
then I had to pick her up off of a pool table. Later.
well, that was at the country bar that we went to next, the cowboy bar. The funniest thing, the thing I will never forget about that is he passed out on the dance floor and my brother-in-law waking me up with a fresh margarita in his hand, trying to hand it to me. And you coming up and saying, what the fuck are you doing? he was like, what? I mean, you think I'm a troublemaker? He is a troublemaker.
Yeah.
I can be very persuasive and annoying, but he is bad. Yeah, and so then I passed out on a pool table. Pretty sure people were playing a game of pool at the time.
That's when we got kicked out.
We got kicked out. The guy he was with that night flung me over his shoulder. I was skinny then. Threw me in his truck. They dumped us at home. We woke up the next morning like, where are we?
Mm-hmm. Good times.
Oh my God, it was so fun. Probably not for you, but we did have to fly out the next day. And do you remember before we went out that night, I was like, I'm not going to drink much. I don't want to fly hungover.
And she was fucking hungover.
And I probably drank more than I've ever drank in my life that night.
That was great. Yep. Good times.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are big fans of the gay community. And it's Pride Month, and we are big allies and all that. So thanks for listening. Like, share, rate, review. Find us where you listen to podcasts. Follow us on all the socials.
Mm-hmm.
She stole my last line, so I got to think of something else. Hold on. You can send us an email about what your drag name would be. To likewhateverpod@gmail.com or don't. Like whatever.
Whatever.
Bye.
Bye.